Call to order City of Forest Park Council Work Session, October 5th, 2020. We have two above the line items. First one being commercial real estate firm for city-owned property. Councilwoman Irby.
Yeah, over the course of several years, under our redevelopment program, we've acquired approximately, I think it's 30 acres of property throughout the city. And we've been looking at the possibility of getting one or more marketing firms to help us market that property. And the staff looked at 4 companies and decided to recommend 2, Colliers International and Jones Lang LaSalle, to market these properties. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Paul?
Thank you, Councilor Herbie. Yes, I think Councilor Herbie gave a very good explanation of this. As all of you know, we started the redevelopment plan several years ago. Part of that plan was to remove underperforming or blighted and vacant commercial property. We've actually been fairly aggressive with that. You might remember the Hamilton and Waycross site where there was an old vacant Kmart building that stood. We were able to acquire that at a pretty good price at sheriff's sale, tear that building down. We used some outside sources of funds to do the demolition, clear the site, make it project ready for future development. We then did similar projects along Northland Boulevard. We have 4 different properties along Northland. And then we also have a property, the old Cameron Park, Forest Park Activity Center site, which is a 15-acre site at the corner of Waycross and Sharon. So we have these properties and we've been quietly marketing them, but we feel that given the competitiveness of the commercial real estate market, and especially the condition of the market right now, we have a unique opportunity to try to move some of these properties. There's actually been some interest in it, but we feel that it's appropriate for us at this time to secure expert representation with a commercial real estate firm to market these city-owned properties for future development. As Councilor Herbie mentioned, we approached 4 different companies for qualifications. These are not really bid requirements because we don't pay the company up front. It's just as if you enter into a real estate contracted home. We pay a commission based on the sale of the property down the road. Everybody is pretty much doing the same scenario with regards to that commission. It's a 6% commission based on the property sales. But what we did have was differences in terms of the types of qualifications each company brought. 2 of the companies we approached elected not to submit proposals, not because they have something against Forest Park, but because they had existing clients that it presented a conflict of interest for them because they would have competitive properties in neighboring communities. So they might have properties that either had private or public ownership that would compete with ours. So they elected not to submit proposals. We did receive 2 proposals, one from Jones Lang LaSalle, one's from Colliers International. And I think Donna will agree, both of those proposals we found not only acceptable, but really favorable to what we're trying to do with the 2 properties. And what we're recommending tonight is that we wanted to make sure, even though it's not a contractual arrangement where we're expending city funds up front, we wanted to be sure that we were transparent with council, let you know where we stood and get your authorization to move forward and engage the 2 companies involved, Jones Lang LaSalle and Colliers, to market city-owned properties. We may elect to work with both of these companies on different properties. For instance, Colliers International has already presented us with a marketing plan for the old Hamilton and Waycross site where the Kmart property used to stand. So we think that they would be a very good choice for that particular property. Colliers also has a great deal of redevelopment experience. Jones Lang LaSalle also has similar redevelopment experience, but I think they've got a little bit more expertise in the office medical technology area. So they may be a more appropriate partner for us for some of the other properties that we own along Northland Boulevard. So we'll probably end up working with both of these companies, but certainly on the Hamilton and Waycross side, I think we're leaning towards Colliers. But we wanted to make sure that we had had informed you of that decision, gotten your consent to go ahead and move forward before we engage these 2 companies.
Okay, any questions for on this issue? Or either Councilor Herbie or Mr. Paul? Yes, ma'am.
I did have a question. Paul, you mentioned in passing the Cameron Park area. I know that the post office was looking at that, but not probably the whole property because we own 2 down there. Are they looking at the lower property?
I think you're referencing the Hamilton County Library project.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The library project is actually looking, I think, at the activity center property, which is
Okay.
up top.
Okay.
And Cameron Park property, we're going to work with both of these companies, but we're also in discussions with some developers on that site as well.
Okay.
It's possible, and I'll let Don chime in too. I think it's possible that that particular property could be a combination of uses, the library, maybe some service, maybe even some residential down the road. This could be a complete redevelopment of the area. If you think about what Fairfield did around the Village Green area, could be something similar to that.
Okay. That's what we were thinking, I thought. Yeah.
Right. So that could be not only commercial, that could be a combination of uses on that particular site.
Okay.
Mr. Sylvester.
You might have made it clear. I just might have missed it, but just in reference of the two, you were saying Colliers International would be more or less the one that be focused for the properties of Kmart area.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And Jones, what area?
Al would probably be working with us, I think, on the Northland properties. And we're kind of thinking we would try to work with Jones Lang LaSalle. You might remember we had Northland established as an opportunity zone. We really haven't had anybody take advantage of that incentive yet. That's a federal program that we were able to establish over on Northland. So I think we see this as an opportunity to kind of engage an investor for those properties and maybe not only find someone who can redevelop our properties, but maybe someone who can come in and redevelop some of the existing privately owned properties in that area as well.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Don, did you have anything to add?
No, I think Paul was very, very, very correct and exactly what he had to say. We want to be able to work with both firms. Both of them have expertise in different areas. And right now, where we're focusing right this second in the most current information and the most current properties that we have that we think are the most marketable right now are it is down on the old Kmart property. But we've got some very good plans, and I think a great opportunity to work not only with at least one or two of both of these companies in the redevelopment of that area where the new library is going to be. But also, as Paul said, that's a tremendous opportunity to create almost like a city center where it could be walkable. You would have residential, little retail, service areas. We think that could be a really transformative area for this city that we don't have already. And Jones LaSalle is, again, as Paul said, down there in that area where the Northland, we think that could be very useful there, not only with our property, but enticing a developer for the entire area so that again becomes transformative. So we look forward to working with both of these companies, but right now we're looking for in the near future working with Colliers.
Okay, we have it's about 10 minutes to 7. We're going to move to the second item, natural gas aggregation suppliers, and that will be Councilwoman Moore. And I think we have someone here from our company to speak to that also. Councilwoman Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so basically this is a resolution regarding us completing our getting certified, getting all our paperwork submitted to become certified as a competitive retail natural gas service provider. And it also allows us to let our city manager, Mr. Jones, go forward with the agreements with a chosen supplier for our natural gas supply for the city of Forest Park. And also it allows him to execute master service agreements not to exceed 39 cents. And so this is just basically giving him the okay to move forward.
Hey, sir, you want to jump in there and tell us what you got to tell us?
Is it me or Don?
No, go ahead, Dan. You're the
Okay.
expert.
Yeah,
So basically, we start to see the price of natural gas starting to escalate as we head into the winter time, and it had been very, very low. So we kind of held off talking to Don until we kind of got a handle on where this thing was going. It looks right now that the price is starting to go up for winter, and that's the important time is winter, because folks just don't use gas in the summertime. So they might use 1 or 2 or 5 CCFs, and you're talking about a 5 cent or 25-cent difference a month. But what I'll back up a little bit, and I'll tell you that Forest Park is certified with the PUCO already. They can do an aggregation program as soon as they want. As soon as you pick a supplier and a price, and we're out pricing now and picking suppliers. And the reason that we asked for a 39-cent ceiling is we don't believe it's going to be that high, but I wanted to get a range so that we could move fast if we got a good enough price that we feel is good enough to recommend to you. A couple things you have to understand about gas aggregation programs. Duke doesn't have a rate. They have what's called a GCR, which is a gas cost recovery, and that fluctuates every month. In the last 15 years, it's fluctuated between 31 cents and $1.22. So every month, depending on futures and all these things when they buy, your gas price will change with Duke, but it is not a rate, because they don't just buy it and pass it on to you. Every penny they spend to recover the cost of that gas, they're going to pass through to the end user. Duke will always get their money. So at this point, what we try to do is we try to come up with a program that has a very good price, that establishes a secure baseline for your residents, and keeps them out of all the gotcha type offers that are out in the free market, meaning our rate can be fixed and it'll never change. And at the end of the contract term, we will renegotiate it with a gas company. We won't just give them a very large rate like happens out in the market. So it's a secure price, no gotchas. And what we're looking at right now is something in the 37 cents range, maybe a little bit less. This is not like electric, where I know what the price is going to be. The electric price, Forest Park's aggregation is doing very, very well, about 4,200 residents in it. They're all saving looks like about 15 to 16, 17% right now off of the standard service offer. They're using renewable energy, and gas really doesn't work that way. We are basically judging what we think the future will do and coming up with a stable price for a period of time to allow folks to be able to count on that very fair price through the winters. So that's basically where we are at this point. We expect we'll get 3 offers back, anytime right now. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And I brought the staff at Forest Park up to speed. And the only thing they didn't know is that we think we're going to get 3 offers back.
okay. Questions or other
Yeah.
comments?
Hi, yes, I have a quick question. So say we have 3 offers and we find that Duke Energy rate is right now, it's like 35 cents, and
Yeah.
they offer a fixed rate. Is that something that we can consider if we can go with the lesser with a fixed rate?
You mean from Duke?
Yes.
No, Duke's rate is a variable every month. They
Okay.
don't take any risk at all. So to give you a quick little analogy to answer your question, we've had polar vortex events in Ohio, meaning it's gotten exceptionally cold, and the utility didn't buy enough product for a
Okay.
certain month. And what ends up happening is they have to go out to the market and buy that market rate product at the same time when it's very, very cold. and then they'll blend that into the next month. So the next month could be significantly higher than the last month. But what you're paying for is not your monthly usage. You're paying for their shortfall from
Okay.
last month. What happens with us, because we negotiate that fixed rate, is if I'm going to use Constellation as an example because they're a very large gas
Mhm.
provider. If Constellation doesn't buy enough gas for February and they have to go out and buy it at the market, and it costs them $5 million extra for Forest Park residents are completely protected.
Okay.
They don't get it passed through. It's like an insurance policy against the market. That's what this really is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that one?
Mayor, I would say that we did prepare a resolution for this, but what I wanted to do is have our aggregator here tell you a little bit about it, because gas is different than electric. And give everybody a heads up, let them know it's coming. And so we don't have the resolution on the agenda for this evening, but we will have it at the next meeting. And just wanted to let everybody have an opportunity to know that this, and an opportunity to talk about it a little bit. If there's any more questions, we'll definitely be available for them, but it's not on the agenda for this evening for action.
I just want to say one more thing, Don, just real quickly. If you looked at the market today, the winter of 2020, 21, and 21, 22 would be in the 43 to 45 cent range. So that's why we're looking at that lower price right now.
Trying to lock it in for a longer period of time.
Yeah. So if you look at the futures, if that ended today, those numbers would be much higher than that aggregation fee or rate.
And also remember, for the folks who are watching at home, people can get in and out, they can change, and no one's locked in. So our aggregation program does not require anybody to get in and does not require anybody to stay in. So if they're not happy, or if they think there's a better rate somewhere else, or they want to go back to Duke and get the variable rate, it's quite easy. They can do it, and there's no problems that they'll have. So it's really just an opportunity to lock in a rate that you know you're not going to get hurt in a bad situation.
Without any fees at any time.
Correct.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Reggie?
So with those three bids that you spoke of, you're looking at them where the three would be less than 39, or
Or we
all
wouldn't
three
do
equal? Okay.
it. So we'll talk it through once we get them, and then that's where the market is right now. So I don't anticipate they'll be that high. So we should be well below those, I would think.
And I told Dan that if not taking action this evening, he can go out, get the quotes, get the rates, and if something really starts to happen in the market, we can come back to you folks and have an emergency meeting. If all of a sudden the rates are going to double in a week and he sees it coming, we can get back and having a meeting and take care of this. But he'll have the next 2 weeks or next week to get a rate, to quote it out. We'll bring it back to City Council. We'll be able to talk about at the next work session.
Okay, there are two items below the line. The first one being accepting tax levy rates, Councilwoman Herbie, and the second one, the fire department ambulance purchase, Councilwoman Nuss. Anything on either of those during the work session? Okay, is there anything else to come before the work session? Hearing nothing, I will declare that the work session is then adjourned. Okay, call to order City of Forest Park Council meeting number 1361, October 5th, 2020. Councilwoman Nuss, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to
and
the
to the
republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
Under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for
justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll? Sally, you don't have your mic on.
Sally, if you tap on your screen, you'll see at the bottom left a little microphone. Whoops, just turned off the picture. There we go. There it is.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay. There was a mute icon and it wouldn't change.
Okay.
Brown, Herbie,
Here.
Holt, Johnson,
Here.
Moore, Moore,
Here.
Nuss.
Here.
Did I hear Nuss?
Yes, here.
Okay. And Sylvester.
Here.
Is there a motion, Councilman Herbie?
Yes, I would move to excuse council members Brown and Holt.
Second.
Second.
Moved and second that we excuse council members Brown and Holt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
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 Opposed, no. Hearing no opposed, the two council members are excused. Item number 2 is minutes. You should have received copies of the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none. Item 3, presentation. We have no presentation this evening. And item 4 is communication from the public. Mr. Jones, did you get anything, communication from the public?
No, I have not received any communications from the public for this meeting.
Thank you. We then move to item 5, reports of standing committees. The first of those being Public Safety Committee, Councilwoman Nuss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have anything to report. I would like to caution everyone to be kind of vigilant about their safety of their automobiles. There have been several vehicles on our street, including my own, that was broken into. And in talking with our officers, they said there is an uptick in some folks going through those vehicles. So if you have those video monitoring or those rings, it was really helpful that the neighbors were able to share them with our neighborhood so that everyone could be aware. So just keep each other safe.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilwoman Nuss and Public Safety? Hearing none. For the work session on the 12th, Councilwoman Nuss, I have no items. Do you have any to add?
I do not.
Next report is Public Improvement and Facilities, Mr. Sylvester.
Only thing I would have in relation to the improvement is the wishing the Win Wiz Warriors for a good season of victory. They've made some improvements there. They've moved into their new realm of the league. So
Thank you.
yes, but other than
X and
that,
O.
Good.
yeah.
Okay, I don't have any items on the agenda for you for the work session. Do you have any to add?
No, sir.
Next committee report is Ways and Means, Councilwoman Herbie.
I have no report at this time.
Any questions? Have no items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, sir.
Next committee report, Councilwoman Moore, Community Development.
Thank you. I do not have a report at this time.
Questions for Councilwoman Moore? And again, I don't have any items as yet on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not.
The next 2 reports will be Law and Human Resources. Both Councilman Brown and Councilman Holt are absent. If no one has a report for them, then I have no items on the agenda for them. So we will move to the last report, Intergovernmental Relations and Communications. I have no report. I would answer any questions if there are any, and there are no items on the agenda at this time. However, I would, as always, just remind the council members that if in fact there are items that are added later by the city manager or items that come up, we will place those on the agenda, and depending on the number or nature of those items, that work session may be either held by itself or before the next meeting of the council. That would that would take me then to the mayor's report. The things that I would report on would be we obviously things are jumping around and frustrating. It's frustrating and it's changing daily. If you may have been listening in last Thursday or saw, read or heard about the governor's last press conference, which was last Thursday. And unfortunately, in that press conference, he did announce that a number of counties, which in the past have not been designated as red, have moved back to red. And unfortunately, Hamilton County is one of those counties, so we are now red again. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation as to what is causing that. We at tomorrow's meeting with the county commissioners, they will give us another update. I would add that unfortunately, not just the county or the state of Ohio, but around the country and around the world. I know there was I saw a special yesterday in a large number of the European countries saw major spikes in the number of cases. I mean, they're talking about record-setting spikes in the number of people who were being testing positive in a day. And back here in this country, in the city of New York, there were spots, hot spots in the city of New York that almost doubled the number of reported cases. So let's not fool ourselves. This thing is far from being over, and it's getting even. I think part of the problem, as the gentleman said yesterday, part of the problem is we are becoming complacent. We're becoming less safety conscious. Fewer and fewer, I should say, more and more people are not wearing masks, especially in public places. We, as a city, the one thing that we need to do, and we need to keep telling our citizens when they ask, we're always going to err on the side of safety. You may be getting questions from people in terms of why isn't Forest Park opening back up? Why aren't we doing this, especially in our activities? Why is the senior center still closed? Why is City Hall still operating as they do? Because until we can be sure that we aren't endangering our citizens in any way, as I said, we're going to err on the side of safety. And that means that it's better to keep those places closed. It's better to continue to operate as we're operating than to become lax and have our numbers in Forest Park to go up as well. I don't know what the Forest Park numbers are right now. I will, I look at them every week especially when we do our meeting with the county commissioners. And I don't expect we're going to be doing any better than anybody else. I do know that the school district was planning on having students to return tomorrow, but because of the spike, that's not going to happen tomorrow. They're going to stay with virtual, which is good because again, they are not putting their students at risk as some other school districts are. And I applaud them for that. But we need to make sure that we're doing all that we can do as a city to keep our people safe. And as I say, it's one of those things where you're going to have to just let the people have their say, listen to their gripes and grumbling, and just remind them that we're doing what we think is best from a safety standpoint. Sure, everybody's tired of having to be in. People don't like wearing the mask. I don't particularly like it, but I think about the alternative. And I think we need to keep those things in mind. That would end my report. I would answer any questions if there are any. Councilwoman Moore, if you from, I know you have a lot of contacts with the health health arena. Do you have anything to add or any additional information on what is going on around it? Go ahead.
Only that, there's still free testing out there. So you can visit the Cincinnati Health Departments, or you can visit Hamilton Public Health for various sites. And so just know that there's still testing out there. And so you can go to those resources to find out the locations and the times.
Okay, thank you. We'll move next to the city manager's report, Mr. Jones.
Well, I echo everything you just said, Mr. Mayor, and particularly with regard to the fact that the COVID issue is still very dangerous, and we need to take all precautions that we can as a city and err on the side of safety. I will point out this week the chipper program. This will be the last week. It began today, the last week that the chipper program will be operating this year. So make sure you check our website. The list is there. The sections are there. So it'll be going on this week. Again, as you said, the schools had some plans for reopening a portion. I think they were going a 2-day on, 2-day off schedule with a Wednesday, everybody off on a Wednesday. I want to reiterate, we get a lot of calls on this. I want to reiterate to the public who might be watching that the schools are separate from the city. They're their own entity. They make their own rules. And if you want the latest information with regards to the schools, I would refer you to the Winton Woods School District's website or the Northwest School District's website. They have the most current, the most up-to-date information, and they'll be able to answer your questions with regards to exactly how your kids or how your family may be affected by the school district and how they're going to hopefully bring folks back to school. We continue to operate again to err on the side of safety and caution with regards to our citizens and our employee. The majority of events have been canceled at our senior center. It has been closed. We have our tax office there. Our tax office will be there at least through November, the first week of November. October 15th is the last due date for taxes. That's the extension due date. So if you're out there and you're watching this again as a citizen, you are required to file. Make sure you get out there and you file your taxes by October 15th. If you can't pay, we'll make arrangements to help you out. We understand the issues that are going on with most folks, a lot of folks in our community with regards to layoffs and less work. So get your taxes filed, get them filed on time. We'll help you file them and we'll help you make payment arrangements. Again, our events are still closed, in particular our parks. Our parks, we're not renting out our parks. We're not renting out or authorizing any events at our parks. That includes events that the city are operating. So there will not be a Harvest Fest this year. We've had some questions about that. We don't think that we could, in good conscience, bring together folks to our community. If we're not allowing other folks to do it or not recommending that other folks do it, it's hard for us to not follow our own advice. So we are canceling Harvest Fest for this year. We'll be looking for ways to do things virtually. We've been looking for ways to to bring our seniors together virtually. So we're going to try and do things, but right now the Harvest Fest is canceled. Halloween, we've got a lot of questions on Halloween. The governor and the state of Ohio put out some guidelines with regards to how Halloween should be handled in the state of Ohio. Hamilton County Public Health also has some guidelines. We know that folks are going to trick or treat. So while we don't recommend it, and we recommend that you follow the guidelines for the state of Ohio, if you're going to go trick or treating or allow your kids to go trick or treating, or pass out candy. But if you're going to do it, please follow those guidelines. We'll have them on our website. Most importantly, it is, since we recognize that a lot of folks are going to do it anyway, it will be October 31st, and it will be from 6 to 8. So we will have our police and our fire folks out and about just to make sure that kids are safe, even though we don't recommend that kids do that. Finally, issue 7 is just taking effect. It's the higher sales tax in the Hamilton County. We have with Ms. Clark, or Councilmember Clark, has offered to help us with some grant proposals, and we have a nice proposal, and we're going to be presenting that with her now that it's effective. So we look forward to using those funds to improve transportation, improve streets. Basically, it's for the bus service and transportation throughout Hamilton County. So we look to be in the first in line on when it comes time to the county starting to dish out the additional funds, and we hope that they're able to do what they promise, which is basically expand service out into the northern regions, out away from downtown Cincinnati, and so we hope to take advantage of that. We hope to be able to provide that type of service for our community, and we know our city council members will be supporting us, and our mayor will be supporting us through this process. Finally, we have a new website that's coming up. We're going to be finalizing it and issuing it by the first of next month. We would have converted over. So once we get it finished, we will, and we make that conversion, we'll make sure that all city council members know about it and they're familiar with it. But one of the things that we're going to be doing is an agenda program, and Sally's going to be in charge of kind of that. But we'll be bringing that out to rolling that out to all the council members, and hopefully that'll make everybody's life a little bit easier and to make us more efficient and more transparent with our community members, and able to publish our documents and our agendas quicker and more efficiently. So other than that, if you have any questions, I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions for our city manager? Anybody or comments? Just two things I'd like to mention that I didn't mention in my report. One is, and I don't know if you all are getting those, starting to get those too. There has been a mass increase, and I say mass because I'm getting a lot of calls about them and seeing them, in door-to-door solicitors. If you should have, if citizens come to you and complain about solicitors, you can only solicit in Forest Park, and I believe all soliciting has been, we put in place a moratorium on it, but even before the moratorium, you had to register and get a permit. But now, because of COVID, we aren't issuing any permits for soliciting. The one company that are not company, well, they are a company, I don't know which of the companies, but we have a lot of young people, and when I'm saying young, I'm talking about college age or younger, who are out attempting to sell like ADT, well, ADT is not, but they're attempting to sell those products for the alarm systems. And unfortunately, they're even being so bold as to say, you know, they will mention the name of somebody at City Hall who told, we went to City Hall and such a person said it was okay for us to do it. One person came and was giving me that line, and I said, I had my idea on it, and I said, see this? Who did you get that from? He said, well, in this Fairfield? No, this is, you're not in Fairfield, this is Forest Park. But we're getting a lot of those. This is also the time of year that you might be seeing repair people out soliciting. So just be aware of those. And probably the one that we all know about, they're out this time of year and again in the spring. I saw them over, I want to say over in the H section where they paint the house numbers on the street in front of your, on the curb in front of your streets. So if anybody contacts you or calls you citizen-wise about these, our stance right now is we don't allow any soliciting. So if they tell you they got permission, they aren't telling you the truth. So just beware of those.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. We have actually stopped on my way home on my street the other day, and there was somebody 2 doors down, looked like they were talking to my neighbor, and obviously my neighbor was trying to push them off and get rid of them, but they weren't leaving. So I stopped and asked them if they had a permit, and they said, I said, wait a minute, I know the answer to that. Because we have suspended all current permits. So if you had one, it's suspended, and we've notified anybody who had a permit that their permit is now suspended through the pandemic, and we're not issuing any more permits for anyone else to go out. The only folks that can be out there, because they have the right to do this and we can't control it, are the nonprofits and the political door-to-door folks. So anybody other than that, they're not operating with any kind of permits. They're not authorized. They're not authorized to be by the city out soliciting door to door, and that's for the protection of the public. Not only for in general, we didn't have a pandemic, but we just don't want folks going door to door knocking on people's doors. I'll be honest with you, it was an electric company that was trying to convince these folks to switch. Neither one of the folks that was talking to my neighbor had masks on. So they went to the front door, knocked on them, and they were engaging outside in the yard, talking to each other. And we owe it a duty to at least let people know that they shouldn't be doing it. I told them, hey, you don't have a permit, you're not supposed to be doing this. And they said, oh, we're going to go over to Sharonville. I said, well, I think you should. So that's they just went ahead and left. I said, I can't make you leave right now because I'm not the police, but I know you don't have a license, and you should move on. But anyway, please, if you're out in the public and you're watching this again, people should not be coming to your door right now and soliciting you for anything. It's just too dangerous. You don't know who they are, number one, and number two, that you don't know what they might have.
Okay. Next item on the agenda would be other reports. The first of those being the law director, Mr. Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to follow up on the solicitation issue. Of course, there are many restrictions, particularly the First Amendment, that prevents the city from stopping solicitations under normal times. But citizens should be aware that they can post themselves no solicitation signage at their door in their front yard. They do not have to accept solicitation if that's their personal choice. With that being said, a couple items. I did look at the pro forma legislation on the gas issue and approved that in its current form, which is not yet specific as to companies and rates. I also had the opportunity to review a public records request quite extensive to the police department. I also had an opportunity to review the answer that was filed on behalf of the city in response to the Victor Cousins lawsuit. And I did so with approval. It was a very appropriate answer, well drafted. If there are no questions, that would be the end of my report.
Any questions for the law director? Hearing none, we go to Clerk of Council, Sport.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to remind council that Monday, the 12th, is actually a holiday for the city. So if there's a work session, it would have to be moved to Tuesday or prior to the next meeting.
Thank you.
And then also ordinance number 23-2020 and resolution numbers 28-2020 through 32-2020 were posted as required. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Clerk of Council? Hearing none, we will move to the next item, new business, and there's a motion. Councilman Murray. Yes.
I would move to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full and read resolutions number 33-2020 through 35-2020 by title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on two separate occasions and read resolutions 33 through 35, 2020 by title only. Is there discussion?
Only that they were posted as required.
Further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
Herbie,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Turn your microphone on.
Sorry about that.
Sylvester. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't wait for the vote. Nuss,
Yes.
okay, Sylvester,
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. The first item on the new business resolution 33-2020. Would the clerk please read that resolution by title only?
resolution number 33-2020, a resolution consenting to the execution of agreements with Corlers International and Jones Lang LaSalle to market city-owned properties for redevelopment.
Is there a motion? Councilman Herbie.
Yes, I move adoption of resolution number 33-2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second that we adopt resolution 33-2020. Is there a discussion?
Yes. Over the last several years, the city, under its redevelopment program, has acquired a number of acres in the city for commercial redevelopment. And we are looking to actively market these properties and are looking at authorizing the city manager to be able to contract with Colliers International and Jones Lang LaSalle to market these properties. And I would urge adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Turn your
Yes.
microphone.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Herbie.
Yes.
Resolution 33-2020 passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, item B, resolution 34-2020. Would the clerk please read that resolution by title only?
Resolution number 34-2020, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Horton Emergency Vehicles for the purchase of one emergency medical services, EMS ambulance, through the state of Ohio state term schedule.
Is there a motion, Councilwoman Ness?
Yes. I move that we accept this resolution for the new ambulance for our fire department.
Is there a second?
I second.
Second.
Been moved and second that we adopt resolution 34-2020. Is there any discussion, Councilwoman Ness?
Yes, just briefly. There was a budget of $350,000 for the 2020 year, and this ambulance that we are getting ready to purchase comes in almost $30,000 under that. So it's well within budget. This replaces the 2011 ambulance that had over 100,000 miles on it. And so I do urge the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion? Hearing now, would the clerk please call the roll on resolution 34-2020?
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, resolution 34-2020 passes 5-0. Next item is item C, resolution number 35-2020. Would the clerk please read that resolution by title only?
Resolution number 35-2020, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Is there a motion, Councilman Herbie?
Yes, I would move adoption of resolution number 35-2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 35-2020. Is there a discussion?
Yeah, this is the annual resolution we take on this next step in our budgeting process. As you remember, this summer we sent to the county our tax budget, and the Budget Commission reviews this and determines the necessary tax levies, and we then have to certify them to the auditor. So this is what this resolution would do, and I urge passage of this resolution.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on resolution 35-2020?
Nuss,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 35-2020 passes 5-0. Any further business to come before the body? Any further business? I have just two items. One, as you all know, normally we would be probably this Thursday or last Thursday, probably this Thursday, we would have normally have had our volunteer recognition dinner. But again, because of the pandemic, we had to cancel that. But I would let you know that the certificates were mailed to all volunteers. And I just wanted to say to those volunteers, although we did not have the normal dinner program, the city is, on behalf of the council and the staff, we are very, very grateful to you for all you do in volunteering to help the city of Forest Park. We could not function without our volunteers. They have always has been a very, very important part of the city and played a very important, necessary role. So thank you to all of our volunteers and staff. It's just no way that Forest Park would be what it is without you. Secondly, just for the purpose, most for the viewing public, because of the pandemic, we have been and shall continue to have our meetings virtually. All of the council meetings, unless it is a special meeting, will be at 7 p.m. Now, work sessions, if we have a standalone work session, more often than not, that work session we will announce the time of that work session. If the work session is prior to a council meeting, as it was tonight, the timing of that work session will be determined by the number and the type of item that is on the agenda. But specifically, all council meetings, as long as we're doing virtual, will be at 7 p.m. so that everybody knows, and so that the people down at Waycross know specifically. That's all that I have. Thank you all. Has anybody else got anything else to add at all? Seeing nothing from anybody, this meeting is adjourned. Be safe, people.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Have a good evening.
Yeah.